Hey, thanks for watching today. I want to introduce you to the JEM double frill cutter. I love this tool and it's so versatile. It looks a little bit simple, but there's so many things that it does. I'm just really excited about it. So I want to show you the first thing. I'm going to work with gum paste, and the first thing that I'm going to do is show you this ombre ruffle. And I know that's a popular look, and there's a lot of different ways to get that. Some people will do like individual circles, that sort of thing, but I really love that this ruffle kind of gets you halfway there already, and it's easy to do. So in order to achieve that, what you want to do is to start with the darkest color of any shade that you're working with. So add as much color as you want to. It's a little more difficult if you try to color each individual stripe because you're not going to get the exact same tone. So what I like to do is start with a little bit more of the darker color and then just add about 50% of what you've got in white. So for example, I'm going to take this much in a pink shade and roughly, it doesn't have to be exact, but I want to kind of measure up about half of that in white and then knead it together, and then that way it's going to take it to the next level of the shade down. So let me get this kneaded together, and then we will roll it out thin and I'll show you how this cutter works. Okay, so I've got my gum paste rolled out nice and thin, just on a hard surface here, and I've just got a little powdered sugar underneath it. So I want to make sure it's moving nice, that it's not a damp surface at all. This is very, very thin. I'd say like 1/8 of an inch and you're good. So it's time to get my cutter now, and I don't need to do anything else to this. There's no grease or powder. It's a pretty wide open cutter, so there's no like small details. And I'm just going to give a nice firm push. I want to make sure I get a nice clean cut. And you'll see that it has an open end, and if you wanted to do a continuous strand all the way around the cake, you could just move that down and it will always look continuous. So we'll set that aside. For this purpose though, I'm just going to cut off the ends, and this is measured out exactly the size of the cake I have in front of me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bulbulous ball tool. This is another tool that I really love from PME. One end does really great frills and the other end does great indentions like for eyes, sockets and things like that. Okay, so what you want to do, again, you're going to make sure this slides really, really nicely on a hard surface. You're not using a sponge on this one. And what I like to do, it's almost like if you could take a pen and draw the outline of the scallop here, that's the place that I am pushing down the most with my tool. Now what I'm doing with this, I'm not rocking back and forth and I'm not rubbing. It's a slow continuous roll. So I'll roll in the same direction like 2 or 3 times until it's as thin as I want. So again, starting here, and I'm doing it right on the edge. 1, 2, and it's starting to ruffle up nice, and I might do like one more over here. And if it does tend to stick a little bit for you, all you got to do is take a little spatula and make sure that you're releasing it as you go. So I'll just continue down the row, 1, 2, and I'm going to do all these little ruffles here, and we'll get to the end here in just a sec. All right, so I'm closing down on my last scallop here. I'll ruffle that up, and you can help them a little bit if you don't like the shapes of them. Go back over, make them a little bit thinner, make them arch a little bit more. You have a little bit of control to shape those. And then what I'm going to do, my ruffles are all shaped down, and I tell you, I see some cakes that the ruffles go up and it bothers me a little bit. I kind of feel like the ruffles should go down, otherwise it kind of looks like a skirt's upside down, and that's no way to be. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of piping gel here, just clear piping gel in my tube, and I'm just going to put it right above my last stripe. It doesn't have to be a perfect continuous line, just enough to make it stick. A royal icing might work there as well. So all I'm going to do is attach my ruffle all the way across, and you still have, this is not permanent right away, of course. You have time to adjust it and move it a little bit higher or lower to make it nice and straight, and then you can go back with the tip of your tool again and pull that ruffle out a little bit. And you can make those as tight, as close together as you want to, or as far apart. But that's a really easy way to do the ombre ruffle with that frill set. And I'm going to show you some other things that it does as well. Really fun tool. So I'm ruffling the last few pieces of the other half of the ruffle that I had cut off, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to really do a cute little garland. I'm going to go over here to my little display cake and just rotate that. I've already got some piping gel applied there, and all I'm going to do, I might not use all of this, but all I'm going to do is attach it right where the garlands are marked. And all this powdered sugar comes off really easily with a little bit of steam. And all I'm going to do is cut right at one of the scalloped edges. You can use sharp paring knife or anything you want to. Again, to make it kind of pop out a little bit, you can just kind of use your tool and pull it away from the surface of the cake. You know, just accentuate those ruffles. A second ruffle on top of that would look really cute. Like if I had done a second ruffle right there, that would be adorable. And then this one I finished off with a pearl. So that's a really easy way to get that classic garland look as well with this double frill cutter. I'm finishing up the last few scalloped ruffles of this white piece that I just cut out. And what I'm going to show you is this tuxedo. It's really easy. Instead of cutting it in half like I did the ombre frills, what I'm doing is just leaving it plain. And I'm just going to set this up beside here so you can see what I've done here. Basically what I did was I just did this one more time. So I did a double layer, and then the top layer I just pulled the frills up a little bit more to make it frilled. And you could go back and paint that with an edge if you wanted to, like in black or like the powder blue if you're doing like a 70s tuxedo or something. But as far as the interior piece, what I used for that was this, also a gem cutter. It's called strip number 1, and this is really great for laces and things like that. For this purpose, I just cut out a thicker piece of gum paste and just embossed with it so it makes those straight lines. Would also make a great book edge if you're making a book cake. And then for the buttons of the tuxedo, again I used a gem cutter, just the daisy center stamps. I used these for not only daisy centers but also for different size buttons, and there's 6 different sizes in that. I love that set. The last thing I'm going to show you with this double frill cutter today is this really fun rose. It's like a wild rose. Probably if you frilled it a little extra, it would be a carnation. But I went ahead and cut out and frilled a little section of this rose color here, same as we did before. And all I'm going to do now is take a water pen. See, it has a little bit of water in the tip, and I'm just going to brush right down the center and then fold it over in half. And again, not too much worried about this powdered sugar on it. That can all come off with a little bit of steam. So what I'm going to do is at the center, I'm going to roll it kind of tight. I'm just going to start rolling it just like a ribbon. And I want to make sure that as I'm rolling, again, center is tight, but that these outer petals, as I roll it around, are level with the inner petals. And that way it looks more like a rose than a pine cone. And once you have your tight center, you can kind of like push this out a little bit and almost make a little loop, and that kind of gives you a little bit more volume to it. And I'm just pinching down here at the bottom as I'm going around, pinching, and it's starting to ruffle nicely. Okay. I'm just keeping that level with the center, and then pinch at the end. And then again, you can go back with your tool and then just kind of pull the ruffles apart a little bit to make a little bit more of a full flower with a lot more petals on it. So that will give you a nice effect. So again, after I finish it, I can steam it to kind of take that powdered sugar off. There's other things you can do with this cutter. I've seen a really pretty cake where you just do a band across the center, again ruffled, and then maybe some of the glam ribbon in between, or a different color straight ribbon in between it, and that just wraps the whole center of the cake. That's a pretty thing to do too. Borders, it's endless what you can do with this cutter. And sometimes these things are a little unassuming, that they look like they're too simple, that they won't do much. But I think if you'll get this and play with it, it's going to be one of your favorite tools. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite tools. So again, that's the double frill cutter, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.